I'm most excited to have this conversation because the man to my left is present, DeSean Jackson. He is here. Now, of all the great things DeSean Jackson did in his career, one of those was also play with Lamar Jackson. I don't think there is an active person on television who can say they played with Lamar Jackson. So though we spout off a lot of opinions, the person to my left has firsthand experience, and your experience is your expertise. So we're talking to an expert here. Jack, is the criticism of Lamar Jackson, is it valid?
I don't think it's valid, and the reason why I say that, Lamar Jackson is proven. When he's healthy, he's a monster. He's an animal on that field. And I just think, like, in 2022, right, he got injured, had the knee injury, right? And then, they was forcing him to come back. He didn't have the long-term, contract he was looking to get there, right? And a lot of people question his heart, his grit to go back out there. And at the end of the day, as a player, I spoke on that yesterday. You have to understand, these teams are just going to put you out there. At the end of the day, I got to do what's best for me as a player. But as far as Lamar Jackson, I mean, let's talk about last year, MVP season, right? They went crazy during the regular season, obviously. And Todd Monken is a new offensive coordinator. He came in, he implemented a lot of new things. I look at Lamar Jackson, when they got to the AFC title game, right? They played Patrick Mahomes. He can't win passing with with Patrick Mahomes. So for me, they didn't stick to their game plan. They need to run the ball. Lamar Jackson obviously is a talent. He can run the ball, he can pass the ball, but he's never gonna outthrow Patrick Mahomes. And that's my thing. I think the criticism is not valid because he's a baller when he's healthy and he's on the field. Yeah, that's real, Jack. But here's my thought process, Dave, is the criticism of Lamar Jackson, it only starts in the playoffs, where his balling happens to stop. Right. So I do think if the criticism is playoff criticism, it's valid. Lamar Jackson is going to walk into the Hall of Fame. He is that good. But if we want to keep it a buck about Lamar Jackson, we have to acknowledge that in the playoffs, he got 6 passing touchdowns and he got 6 interceptions. He's played in 6 games. Correct. If you want to keep it a buck, Acho, tell me about the rushing yards too, though, Acho. Bet, I'll do that. But then let me tell you about the fumbles as well, because he got 9 total touchdowns and he got 9 total turnovers. So if we want to be honest about Lamar Jackson, we can praise him for what he does in the regular season. But Dave Helman, we got to keep it honest about the shortcomings in the playoffs. For Dak Prescott, a 2-4 playoff record is bad. And Dak Prescott's a 4th-round pick with no MVPs and 1 MVP vote. Lamar Jackson got more MVPs than Dak Prescott got votes. And they had the same playoff record prior to Dak Prescott losing last season and going to 2-5. So if Dak Prescott, amongst other quarterbacks, this isn't a Dak Prescott block, Kirk Cousins is 1-3 in the playoffs too. If these quarterbacks who cannot sniff the talent of Lamar Jackson get criticized for their playoff records, we have to be honest about the criticism for Lamar in the playoffs.
So what? It's Wednesday. It's hump day. You feel like being nice to me? Like you're just throwing me an alley-oop? Because that's what I was going to say. Look, I love Lamar Jackson. I think he's one of the absolute best quarterbacks in the world. I wish we lived in this utopian society where we just hyped people up based on what they've done, and we didn't have to criticize them. But it's the most popular sport in the world.
Yes, sir.
It's the National Football League.
Talk about it. Do.
And I think it's valid mainly because we have to keep the same energy. That's what the young people say these days, right?
That's what they say, Dave.
You gotta keep the same energy. I got a graphic too. If y'all want to throw it up,
please do.
Graphics.
Yeah, show them.
Graphics.
I mean, you mentioned Dak just there. I don't really. I could just sit here quietly while y'all digest those stats if I wanted to, because one guy is seen as the biggest choke artist, a quarterback you can't win with, not good enough, can't get over the hump, never win the big game. When are the Cowboys going to get rid of this bum? And the other guy's won 2 MVPs. Dak Prescott's been better in the playoffs than Lamar Jackson has. I mean, like I said, I don't need to say a whole lot. The numbers do it for you.
Look at the touchdown.
So all I'm saying is if we're going to drag one guy through the mud with every opportunity we get, we got to bring some criticism for Lamar Jackson for being worse. That's my only point. And I know Dak hasn't gotten to the AFC title game. Lamar got there after getting a bye also, by the way. So, I mean, that's just math. That's 1 less game you've got to win. True. So, yeah, I mean, he's taken his team further than Dak has. Dak deserves criticism, too. I'm just saying we got to keep it even for everybody. And that, like, the numbers speak for themselves. Lamar Jackson's play in the postseason has not been good enough, especially because I know he is that good. I think Lamar's a better quarterback than Dak Prescott.
Time out. No,
he's accomplished more.
Time out.
Whatever you want to say.
Time out.
Look at
I can't have Dave fooling the people, Jack.
He's still trying to do it.
Because Dave is warmed up. See, what y'all don't know at home is Dave taped a podcast before he came on the show.
Yeah, that's true.
And so he came out the gate. He already did his verbal calisthenics. You came out with your best takes already.
NFL on Fox Pod, dropping.
I'm just getting loose. I'm just getting loose. And Dave came out the gate with his best takes. James Jones is a criticism of Lamar Jackson valid.
I see what Dave did right there.
What'd he do?
You know, anytime you got a chance to, you know, pump up Dak Prescott, you know what I mean?
The numbers don't lie, James.
Men lie,
with you,
James.
Dave.
All right.
Women lie, James.
I stay trying to pump up Dak Prescott, too. You know who else I stay trying to pump up?
Lamar Jackson.
Aaron Rodgers. Right? And the only reason why I say that before I get to Lamar Jackson is the criticism is fair. Aaron Rodgers has won a Super Bowl. Aaron Rodgers is a 4-time MVP. What do they say about Aaron?
Chokes in the playoffs.
Not Aaron Rodgers that we used to seeing in the regular season, in the playoffs. The criticism is there. So Lamar Jackson, embrace it because the criticism is not going anywhere. If you go to the Super Bowl this year and you win a couple playoff games and next year you come into the season and you get to the playoffs and you lose in the first round, you know what they're going to say? Lamar Jackson don't deliver in the playoffs. Look at these numbers because these numbers are going to be similar. Maybe 1 or 2 more wins will be added to you because you got to the Super Bowl. So the criticism is not going anywhere until you're walking into the Hall of Fame, unless these next 5 years you just go to the Super Bowl 5 years in a row. Yeah. But he's going to have to embrace the criticism. The criticism is fair. He's average at best.
Oh, God. Jesus.
Are we keeping it 100? Lamar Jackson is one of my favorite players.
The numbers say
at best
that.
in the
That's what he's
playoffs,
played like.
he's average. And for me, I would want to accept that as a player. When I look at James Jones in the mirror, if I'm like, bro, you dominating the regular season.
Right.
Offensive player of the year twice, and you get in the playoff, where do you go? But that's Lamar Jackson right now. So he has to accept the criticism and go out here and make sure, hey, man, y'all think I can't do this? Watch this. He has to do that. But the criticism is absolutely fair because he's not the Lamar Jackson that we're used to seeing in the playoffs versus the regular season.
Let me speak on this specifically because I know Lamar Jackson personally, and I think he holds the critics on himself. I think he's his biggest critic,
love that.
right?
Yeah, I love
and the
that.
reason why I say that is because knowing him, his play style is different, obviously, right? You know, he's a backyard football. He's not like the Tom Brady. He's not the Patrick Mahomes. We know that. But at the end of the day, in that locker room, everybody knows Lamar Jackson wants to win. And when I say win, it's not only in the regular season. He wants to win in the playoffs. He wants to bring a Super Bowl to Baltimore because he knows how much Baltimore means to him. They rewarded him with the contract. So first and foremost, I have to say he's his own biggest critic. You know what I'm saying? So for me personally, I have to say that.
Let me say this then, Jack. Let me ask you this, because you are the only person maybe on television who can actually give this answer. Why in the playoffs are there shortcomings? You've been a part of the Ravens during the regular season. Right. You've been a part of that offense. You played in the NFL for 15 years, so you understand how defenses can catch up. Educate the viewers, educate me. Why, in your expert opinion, come to playoffs, do things change?
I mean, let's look at it like this. Greg Roman has been his offensive coordinator for, you know, his whole career,
He was
right?
up until last year.
Up until last year. You have Tom Monken come in. He's a new offensive coordinator, right? For me personally, I think, you know, just the style of the offense has changed. Just a little bit, not too much, right? So you come in, you got Tom Monken, right? All season, they went 13-3. They played tremendous last year, right? And then you get to the AFC title game and you change up the whole philosophy.
Okay.
So for me, I just think you have to make it easier for Lamar. Like, when I say easier, and hey, listen, he's not Patrick Mahomes. Acho, you have to.
He makes him so mad.
And at the end of the day, he's a baller, but guess what? Is he going to outthrow Patrick Mahomes?
No, he's
Here's
not.
my problem, though, Jay.
Can I get in on this real quick?
Real quick, though, Jay. My heart hurts. There's nothing more infuriating I hear on daily television than you have to make it easier for Lamar. Here's why, Jack, and you, my dog. I've known you since 2013. We were teammates in Philly.
Right.
One, you're a two-time NFL MVP. MVPs, you're supposed to have the luxury of we don't necessarily have to make it easier for you because you are the most valuable player in the sport. That's my first thing, but I digress. My real point is this. All I ever heard for 5 years was they run the ball too much with Roman. They run the ball too much with Roman. They run the ball too much with Roman. Get rid of Roman. Get rid of Roman. Get rid of Roman.
Right.
Roman led Colin Kaepernick to a Super Bowl and helped Lamar Jackson win a unanimous MVP. They run the ball too much. Now you get to a championship game, and people saying, why didn't they run the ball more? Why didn't they run the ball more? Why? Pick one. Because we wanted to run the ball with Lamar, and they said, y'all running it too much. Now we want to pass the ball, and we said, why didn't y'all run it more? Y'all got to make it make sense for me.
I disagree. Look at the whole regular season. What did they do great? Run the ball. You have Gus Edwards.
Yeah.
I mean, you have Dobbins, J.K. Dobbins. I mean, run the ball. Don't get to Patrick Mahomes and try to outthrow Patrick Mahomes.
That's what they did, Dave Helman, James Jones, Jack. That's what they did for Lamar Jackson's entire career. And they got rid of Roman because they ran it too much.
They led the league in rushing yards.
No, and they did that when they fired Roman, though. You feel me? Like, you got to help me out here.
I understand that, and I'm going to let you go. But you have to let Lamar Jackson, just because he had 2 MVPs, right? How did he get the MVPs? By being Lamar Jackson.
Yes, sir.
Not by outthrowing Patrick Mahomes.
Yes, sir.
And
Go ahead, James.
that is my biggest thing, because he don't look like that Lamar Jackson in the playoffs, in the regular season. I have a real clear picture of Lamar Jackson versus San Francisco 49ers last year.
Yeah.
Smacked him.
And when I turned that tape on, the ball was in Lamar Jackson's hands, and he was Lamar Jackson. And what I mean by that is he was throwing
Crazy.
and he was running.
Yeah.
I never have seen that Lamar Jackson in the playoffs. I haven't seen that dude. And at the same time, Monken put the ball in his hands.
In the playoffs.
In the playoffs and against the Niners. We came on this show after the Niners game like the MVP is going to Lamar Jackson because that Niners team is supposed to be the best team in football, and he made them look like y'all shouldn't even be on the field with me, not us. With me. You know what I'm saying? You got all pro Fred Warner going that way, and I'm going that way. Like Lamar Jackson made the Niners look crazy out there. But then when we get to the playoffs, I don't see that Lamar Jackson with the ball in your hands or not. That's all I'm saying. If Lamar Jackson was going out here and he was dominant and the Baltimore Ravens was losing the playoff games, we'll be pointing out a bunch of other stuff. But he's just not dominant, so now we clearly could point out Lamar Jackson like Lamar Jackson has to be better.
Can I say one thing, Dave? And I know you want to get to it. You have to understand this, James, because I hear you. I hear you.
Do you?
But they averaging 32 rushes in the regular season.
Okay.
In the playoff game, 16 in the AFC title game. You ran the ball 16
That's
times.
not good.
And I hear you.
In a one
but come on,
game.
they changed your whole identity.
But here's my thing. Here's my thing, Dave Helman. Here's my thing, Jack. If there's one person who you can put the ball in their hands, you put it in Lamar's. Because the beauty of a pass play, you can run it too. That's the beauty of a pass play. Quarterback can pass it or he can run it. The problem with a running play is you can only run it. Said Hut, you hand it to Gus. Gus got to keep it. Said Hut, if Lamar dropped back, he can toss it or he can run it. So the best thing you can actually do is call a pass play because at any point in time,
they got number 22 over there this year, though. They got Derek.
I'd be curious for your take on this, Jack, because I don't have a number for you. It's just something I've wondered about, especially in these big moment games. We know Lamar's gotten criticism for being a running quarterback his entire career.
Right.
I mean, he's clearly proven that he can throw the ball. But sometimes I wonder if in these big moments, these high leverage moments, he's worried about looking like the running quarterback. Maybe he's not thinking about that, but he's looking for the pass play when he could run it. You know, and I just think playing a little bit freer in those circumstances would go a long way for him. And like I said, I don't think he's actively thinking, I got to prove the critics wrong while he's out there on the field. But I wonder if that ever affects him, and he's trying to prove himself as a pass-first quarterback when he doesn't always need to do that.
Yeah, I mean, personally, me knowing Lamar, I don't think that goes through his mind. The reason why I say that is because I know he's a baller. Like, regardless of what it looks like, you're not hearing me. Run, pass, throwing. Because he did make some crazy throws in that San Francisco game when they played the 49ers.
He did. That's what I'm saying. He was the Lamar Jackson that I want to see in the playoffs. Like, the baddest man on the planet.
That's about as good as a team looked last year in a game.
He's not going to put that pressure on him, though. He just wants to go out there and he wants to win. And however he produces, it doesn't matter. He wants to win games.
Here's what worries me, though, fellas, and viewers at home, it should worry you. James Jones, how good was the Packers defense the year that Aaron Rodgers won a Super Bowl?
That was the best defense we had, top 10 defense.
Top 10 defense. For more accuracy, top 5.
Top
James,
5,
you talk about it all the time. The only time Aaron Rodgers had a top 5 defense. The only time, James, what'd he do? He won a Super Bowl, y'all. Tom Brady went to a lot of Super Bowls, but what we failed to mention
top 5 defenses
is he had top 5 defenses
all the way through.
All that time. Tom Brady had top 5 defenses 9 times in his career.
Wow.
9 times, y'all.
God has been good.
We don't ever talk about it. He has so been good to me. We don't ever talk about it. But Tom Brady had top 5 defenses 9 times. He won the Super Bowl, went to him 5 of those times. Lamar Jackson had that number one defense.
Yeah.
And you may never get it again. Now, in Baltimore, more likely than not, you'll get up there. You may never get it again. Rodgers had it once.
Yeah.
And the one time he had it, he capitalized. Jack, what worries me most about Lamar Jackson is we're having maybe the most incredible Lamar Jackson conversation I've ever been a part of. What worries me most is he had a number one defense. And you didn't get it done. Because Geno Stone, gone.
Yeah.
Jadeveon Clowney, gone.
Patrick
Queen, gone. Defensive coordinator, gone. You might not have it again.
But not only that, what you saying that, because I was there with Aaron Rodgers when we had that top 5 defense. The baddest man on that team in the playoffs was Aaron Rodgers, and it wasn't close. Aaron Rodgers played like an MVP in the playoffs. Like, if you go back and you watch that stretch, when we started off in Philly, and then
that's twice now, James. That's 2 shots.
And then we went to the number 1 seeded Atlanta Falcons. If you watch that game
down. Oh my God.
But if you watch Aaron Rodgers in that game, it's like he could have threw to people walking out of Walmart. He was that good, and no knock to all of us that was out there, but he was that good. Then we went to Chicago, and he was the best player on the field, and obviously in the Super Bowl, he was clearly the best player on the field in that game too. That is my only thing. Lamar Jackson, you are the baddest man in the planet 2 years. MVP, you have 2 MVP seasons. That means you are the baddest man in the planet. We need to see that MVP Lamar. Bad defense, good defense, I don't care. We need to see that Lamar Jackson that has won these MVPs in the playoffs, and that Lamar Jackson has not shown up yet.
Now, let me pivot this conversation a bit, because Lamar Jackson said something interesting. Colvin, do we have sound or not? He said something interesting about the criticism. You know, he said, I'm motivating myself because I know what I can do at the end of the day. Those guys, they've had their time. I really don't care what the criticism is. I just came off of an injury the year before and made it all the way to the AFC title game in a new system. When I heard that, Jack, I heard a little bit too much contentment for my liking. Man, I was injured the year before, and I made it to the AFC Championship game in a new system. I was watching after the Olympics, Jack. You'll find this fascinating. Obviously, you were a track superstar along with being a football superstar. Nike, at the 1992 Olympics, they ran an ad that simply said, you didn't win silver. 96 Olympics. You didn't win silver. You lost gold. You ain't win silver. Don't get it twisted. You lost gold. Lamar Jackson, you didn't get to an AFC Championship game.
That's tough.
You failed to make it to the Super Bowl.
You can't brag about that one.
You can't think of life as, I won silver. No, big dog, you ain't win silver. You lost gold.
Man, you say a lot of stuff. That's good right there.
That was a line. That was
you
good.
feel me? So when I hear Lamar Jackson say, I just came off an injury and we made it all the way to the AFC Championship game, did you make it to the AFC Championship game or did you fail to make it to the Super Bowl?
That's good.
Because I think at this point in your life, you have to view it as I failed to make it to the Super Bowl. Jack, do you like Lamar's response there to the critics? Obviously, you know him best of anybody here.
I mean, that response, preferably I wouldn't have accepted that. You know, being a teammate, I mean, at the end of the day, you got 32 teams, right? We all go into the season and in the training camp wanting to win a Super Bowl. So when that goal is off the table, I can't be satisfied about going to the AFC and losing. I'm not satisfied about that. So knowing Lamar personally, I know he's a winner, and that's why I'm sitting on this, you know, in this position right now saying Lamar Jackson, he's a dog and he's a winner and he'll get it done. But at the end of the day, sometimes the Super Bowl might not be for everybody. I'm not saying that's the situation here with Lamar. But every quarterback that runs the team might not win a Super Bowl.
Sure. That is fair. But James Jones, take a look at this as you respond to what DeSean Jackson just said. Colvin, throw up the 2-time MVP winners in the history of the National Football League, please. I think we have a picture of all of them. And when I look at them, again, it's from a distance, hard for me to see necessarily, but Tom Brady, he went. Let's look at the quarterbacks exclusively. Just the quarterbacks, right? Brady went to a Super Bowl. Brett Favre went to a Super Bowl. Patrick Mahomes went to a Super Bowl. Manning went to a Super Bowl. Joe Montana went to a Super Bowl. I believe that's Aaron Rodgers went to a Super Bowl. Y'all will have to help me with Johnny Unitas. This is the pre-Super Bowl era. Kurt Warner went to 2 Super Bowls, including winning one. Steve Young went to a Super Bowl. So, Jack, what's hard for me to digest, and James Jones, please respond, is that's the company Lamar Jackson's keeping at 26 years of age, 27 years of age, and they all done went.
Man.
All of them.
Them some names right there.
It's crazy, man, because one thing one of my mentors always told me, he said, man, whenever you about to give a speech or you about to answer a question, he said, always remember the 3 B's, and don't have long-winded answers. And I said, what's the 3 B's?
Three Bs,
He
I'm
said,
listening.
be brief, brother. And in these situations right here, knowing that you have struggled in the playoffs and all that, don't nobody really care about injuries and all that. Hey, man, be brief, brother. 3 B's. Hey, I got to be better. As a team, we got to be better. We'll be back. Because all this stuff, when you have these long-winded answers, now we digging into it. Come on, Lamar. That sound like excuses, Lamar. Yep. You know what I mean? Oh, was he healthy? Now we all this. That's why he didn't play. That just sounds like excuses to me. Hey, man, we wasn't at our best. Patty Mahomes and them was at their best. They beat us. Hopefully we get to that game again. We'll see them again next year. That's it.
Sure.
I actually disagree with y'all. And I mean, you don't have to throw the list back up because we all know it's some of the greatest players that have ever played the game.
Mm-hmm.
How many of them are playing in the NFL right now?
Aaron.
And Pat. That's 2. That's 2 guys. If I'm Lamar Jackson, we got the list right here. All these guys are, for the most part, retired. There's like 2 active players, and they're some of the best to ever do it. Lamar Jackson is 27 years old. And he's still, clearly, he's still playing. He's going to play for a long time. If I'm Lamar Jackson, first, I love hearing that guys don't care about their critics. I think, respectfully to y'all as former players, I think most of them are lying. But Lamar Jackson is a guy that I trust that he's telling the truth when he says that. Just the way he has always carried himself.
He don't care.
I genuinely don't think he does. Lamar Jackson has won a Heisman Trophy and 2 NFL MVPs. Who could criticize him that has a leg to stand on other than Patrick Mahomes? That is the only guy. And Aaron's accomplished a lot as well, but Aaron is very close to the end of his NFL career. But I'm not. I don't want to hear anything from anybody if I'm Lamar Jackson. Don't talk to me unless you wear 15 in Kansas City.
But to me,
that's it. That's the list of people who have even if we'll throw in Aaron Rodgers too. Cool. 2 people who have accomplished more in the NFL than Lamar Jackson.
But for me, I'm with Lamar Jackson. I could care less about any critics because the critics is on your side when you're balling and the critics is not on your side when you're not balling. They just want stuff to talk about and write about. For me, it's more about what Lamar Jackson is saying.
There you said.
Like, nobody knew that you was battling these injuries and all that. There's no need to even bring none of that stuff up. Everybody knew you had a first-year offensive coordinator. We knew that when y'all was 13-3. We knew that when everybody was picking y'all with home field advantage to go to the Super Bowl. We knew all that. So my thing is you fell short. I have fell short plenty of times. I have not even accomplished half of what Lamar Jackson has accomplished. But I know what it's like to fall short. I know what it's like to be 1 game away from the Super Bowl and walking off that field, going home, not playing your best. And that's all this was. We didn't play our best. When you watch that Kansas City Chiefs game, the Baltimore Ravens didn't play their best, and they lost. I would love him to just say, man, we ain't play our best, and we lost.
Take it on the chin.
We'll be back here. That's what I would love. All this long answer that you was reading, long response. All I'm saying, that's too much, man. Be brief, brother. Get on. We into a new season.
Last question for the table. Dave, answer it first. Should Lamar Jackson get more grace because he has 2 MVPs, or should he get harsher critique because he has 2 MVPs? In my mind, the greater you are, you've now qualified for greater criticism because we know how good you're capable of being. Should he get more grace because of the 2 MVPs, or should he get more of a pass?
Damn, that's a good point. It's a good question. I would say I think with great power comes great responsibility. Like with the ability to win 2 MVPs comes a greater degree of criticism. And I think Lamar Jackson should be held to a very high standard. And then I said at the top of this, I just think you got to keep the same energy for everybody. And like, I mean, if we're dogging one guy, you're not letting somebody skate because of what they've accomplished in the regular season. So I'm not worried about Lamar. Again, he's 27 years old. He's going to have so many opportunities to get over this hump. But yeah, with what he's capable of, I think it makes sense to hold him to a high standard.
Yeah, I think it's never enough. And when I say it's never enough, I mean 2 MVPs, great, so be it. Knowing Lamar, it's never enough for him. And I think he wants more, and the Super Bowl is what he needs. And at the end of the day, he has the track record. You can go back to his Heisman at Louisville. At the end of the day, this man needs a Super Bowl. He needs to bring a Super Bowl to Baltimore. Yeah. And I think he understands that. So for me, I just think he's going to be hard on himself. And at the end of the day, it's Lamar Jackson we're talking about. He's going to go out there, he's going to be a baller, and he's going to be capable of doing what he needs to do.
We all know when you are great, the expectations are higher and higher. We all know that. If D-Jack go out there on the football field right now, you know what we expect? A go ball.
We already do.
You know what I'm saying? Because that's what he has shown us for 15 years in the National Football League, that Can't nobody guard me when I'm running these posts and these go balls. That's what we expect. Lamar Jackson, you have shown us greatness, dog. 2-time MVP. Like, you're a winner. You win in the regular season like it ain't nothing. You have shown us greatness. You are held to a higher standard. And it's your fault because you showed us greatness, right? James Jones go out there and drop a ball. You know what they're going to say? Aaron Rodgers lost. You know what I'm saying? So Lamar Jackson has shown us that he's great too many times. With that comes great expectations, man, and that's why we having the A block about Lamar.
To bring the conversation full circle, throughout their careers, DeSean Jackson, 2,800 yak yards, yards after catch. James Jones, 1,600. Oh!
Subscribe here to get the latest from Speak, and go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.